Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. Yes, it is podcast day. And as you might notice, I am rolling solo tonight. 2Ks is with Mrs. 2Ks at she ran a half marathon today. So big, let's clap it up for Mrs. 2Ks. Big shout out to you. Don't know why in the hell anyone would want to run that distance or even further. So kudos to you for doing it. Not my thing, not my bag, but yes, big shout out to Mrs. 2Ks and our good friend Cassie that ran along with her. So big shout out to you, and safe trip back. Safe trip back. I'm pretty sure you guys are back already, but yeah, rest up. I'm pretty sure your entire body probably sucks right now. So yeah, this body is not built to run a half marathon. So I'm the first to admit that. But for those of you that are into that, kudos to you. Just not my thing. Just not my thing. But let's get the show kicked off on a great note today, 2K crew. We're going to be talking some college football. We're going to be talking inside that college football talk. This show garnered a lot of attention over on TikTok, so I'm going to kind of explain what happened, what went down, and kind of give you my reaction of everything. So I'm really excited about that. And we're going to go over our Week 6 rundown of the NFL, Week 7, excuse me, rundown of the NFL. So I'm really excited. And MLB, Yankees are in the World Series. We've got the Mets, Dodgers playing tonight. So I'll kind of keep an eye on that, as well as Jets, Steelers. Lot to unpack about that game. So without further ado, 2K crew, let's go over some news as we start out every show with some news. And kind of like I was alluding to, there's some big news regarding this game. As everyone knows, Jets traded for Davante Adams. This was kind of it seemed to me like a no-brainer. I mean, this was been dangling out there for a long time, and the Jets finally pulled the trigger on it. So this is Davante's first game back. And if you look at all the betting sites, they have him kind of going, not going to say going nuts, but I believe his over under yards were right around 60. So kind of he actually had more yards projected in his over under than Garrett Wilson. So we'll kind of see how this game plays out. I really don't expect a whole lot of scoring in this game. Both these defenses are very, very stingy, and Russell Wilson is making his first start of the year as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Even though Justin Fields was 4-2, they said, "What the hell? Let's roll the dice with Russ. Danger Russ. Danger Russ." And there was, just to kind of highlight one other trade here, the Browns trade Amari Cooper, and this is a tweet from Jake Trotter. With the trade of Amari Cooper, backup safety Rodney McClendon is the only Browns player, including offense, to score more than one touchdown this season. That is, when you're talking about anemic, I don't know how much more that needs to be talked about. And T's and P's to Deshaun Watson goes down with an Achilles. I know he's not everyone's favorite person. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's not something, at least me, I really don't wish stuff like that upon people. But if you are a Browns fan, this could be their way to get out of this contract. So we'll kind of see what happens. But regardless, that's really not really the way you wanted it to go down, I'm sure. And in some other news here, Jay Cutler was arrested for DUI in Tennessee, bails out of jail. Per TMZ Sports, retweeted by DeWindy City Productions, he says, "Another drive ruined by a bad Jay Cutler decision." And I found this rather interesting because, yes, I am a Bears fan. I went through the whole Jay Cutler experience, and whoever was the mastermind behind the Smoking Jay Cutler website was absolute genius. Love that. You should go down in some sort of Hall of Fame for that. That website was absolutely amazing. But add on top of this, he was also, I believe, alleged to he alleged to have a handgun as well and tried to bribe the police officer. So not a good look for Jay. But it is what it is. We'll kind of see where it goes from there, but it's not looking good. But yes, big shout out to whoever did the Smoking Jay Cutler website. That was pretty awesome. We got Cody in the house saying that's the Jay Cutler we all know and love. Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, Fortunately, you are correct. You are correct. Let's see here. I think that's the only. Well, I'll do this one now, even though I did want to save the baseball talk for a little later. But as we've seen, Kike Hernandez of the Dodgers is having yet another fantastic postseason. And J. Hay Kid on Twitter, Nugget Chef himself, over at Baseball is Dead, put together this graphic. It says Kike Hernandez versus Aaron Judge postseason careers. Kike has 223 plate appearances to Judge's 224. Kike has 15 home runs as compared to Judge's 14, 32 RBIs as compared to Judge's 29, and an OPS of 907 compared to Judge's 769. That is quite the discrepancy, and see if Kike can stay hot. I mean, this whole Dodgers team, I mean, it seems like they're either going a million miles an hour or going zero. So I can't really say that whether that's the pitching staff of the Mets or just the kind of injuries have caught up. I know Freddie Freeman has been on a bum ankle this whole postseason. So how going forward, how's that going to affect the lineup? I know he's one of 3 MVPs in that lineup, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty. You're getting down to the nitty gritty, and as we talked about last week, 2Ks and I, we're basically looking at either a Subway Series or Dodgers Yankees. Now, I would have to think that the Subway Series is only going to be appealing for East Coast people, maybe. But if you get Dodgers Yankees, I think that's going to appeal to more people because A, if you're like me, I'm going to watch because I hate both teams. And B, it's kind of one of the oldest rivalries, I guess you could say. You know, remember Dodgers were Brooklyn, Yankees, New York, same. You know, the history goes back, let's put it that way. But I just have a feeling that you're going to get more eyes on the product just because they hate both teams. They can't stand either one. So I think Major League Baseball is going to that's honestly, that has to be the matchup they want. And not to sell the matchup of Judge v. Ohtani. That would be electric. I mean, that to me, that's the reason I want it. And if you're asking me, I'm going to have to give my fandom here to the Dodgers just because I want to see Shohei win one. I know being in LA, he's not going to go through that same career path that Trout did in with the Angels, but let's just scratch that itch. Let's get one and kind of see where it goes from there. And again, my Yankee hatred will be fulfilled. But yeah, that's kind of, like I said, I really wanted to kind of save the baseball talk, but I want to throw that graphic in here. And Cody says Subway Series. Well, you are one of the weird ones, especially around here, Marcellus. Your fandom runs wild everywhere, my friend. So, but since you are a beloved Jets fan, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. Are you a Mets fan as well? If you are, you're just glutton for punishment, I guess. But let's get into some college football here, 2K crew. In particular, the Texas-Georgia game. The Texas-Georgia game. This is where the controversy, I guess you could call it a controversy. Last week, 2Ks and I sat here and we pretty much crowned the Texas Longhorns as this year's Michigan team, where it doesn't seem like anyone can or will beat them. You know, they had a great defense, talented players, a good running game, 2 very, very viable quarterbacks. So, I mean, it is now granted, as we'll see in this upcoming clip here, that there were a lot of folks that disagreed with 2Ks and I, and we took it on the shins. We took it on the shins. Here's one of them here. I clipped some of the comments on this video that we posted on TikTok. This is from Blue 5356. Hands down. And now, granted, look at the timestamp. This was from 9 hours ago. This is post game. Okay, post game. Hands down, the best team, huh? Embarrassing, y'all. Y'all were impressed with a team that didn't play anybody with a pulse. Also, both quarterbacks got dominated. Bad takes. And from Bearded Wonder 88, keep living in hypotheticals, because Georgia just came into your own house and smacked all around two of the best quarterbacks in college football, horns down. So let's kind of unpack this. Because this was one of our most popular videos that we have posted on TikTok, and instead of going back and forth in the comments with a whole ton of people, figured out it's something we should address on the show. So it is what it is. And what for all of these people that were making all of these remarks post game, mind you, granted, there were a lot of them that were, and most of the comments on there were actually Georgia fans going back and forth with Texas fans. I get it, no problem. I literally have no skin in the game. Okay, I was hoping for a good game. It kind of turned out to be a good game, but at the end, Georgia won. That was a completely different Georgia team than what we saw play against Alabama. If that same team that played against Alabama had played last night, it would have been a whole different story. And as far as Ewers and Manning not having great games, well, Manning really shouldn't even have been in there to begin with. And I was watching it at a bar, so there, again, no sound, but Ewers didn't look healthy. From what I saw, he might have had an ankle or something like that, but he wasn't moving around. Granted, he's not the most mobile quarterback on the planet, but definitely isn't a statue either. So this is one that I honestly think that Texas might have had a big head. And Georgia just came in and just smacked them right in the mouth right out the gate, and they really didn't answer until the second half. Now, does this mean that Texas is as bad of a football team as everyone in the comments was saying? Absolutely not. This team is going to be a top 5 team. This team will finish in the top 5. I can almost guarantee it. And there's plenty of football left to play, and there's still the SEC championship game. So this Texas team is too well coached to just have this be kind of like the falling apart that we've seen a lot of other teams do. Now, some other takeaways here for this game. One of the major turning points in this game was that pass interference call late. I believe it was in the third or fourth quarter that ended up getting reversed, and I really didn't think it was a pass interference to begin with, and I think the refs ultimately got the call right. However, the student section throwing the bottles and cans and everything on the field, completely unacceptable. I like the way it was handled. Everyone was cool, calm. They cleaned it up. Couple of minutes, but that right there has no business in any sporting event, period. Let alone if it's college football, pro football, baseball, doesn't matter. As a fan, you cannot do that. And on top of that, Texas was very, very fortunate that they didn't get a 15-yard penalty because of the fans throwing shit on the field. So all around, not a good look for everybody. But that aside, I think they did get the call right. So that's kind of takeaway 1. Takeaway 2 is I really didn't agree with either of the targeting calls. I didn't agree with either one. And I think we're getting a little out of control with these targeting calls. I've said it for years. I understand why they're there. I understand their purpose, but when you're calling them completely out of context, now I know there's going to be rule sticklers that'll be like, well, if you lead with the crown of the helmet, it doesn't matter. Well, there's the letter of the law, and then there's just common sense. Okay. In the first one, the defender was coming in. Yes, he should have his head up, but the receiver went down and met his head. So that's again, I understand why the rule's there. I understand the nature of it, but for Christ's sake, let the kids play. And the same with the second one. I didn't agree with either one. So again, watch the game as an unbiased person. Just wanted a really, really good game. It ended up being more interesting in the second half, but by that time, Texas had just dug themselves way too deep of a hole, couldn't come back, and kudos to Georgia getting the big dub. And again, you gotta love college football. Georgia loses to Alabama, then Alabama loses to Vanderbilt, then Alabama loses again this week. So kind of the weird landscape that we're in, but that is one of the reasons why college football is the absolute best. Cody chimed in here and says, I feel like $1 million with the last 2 weeks. Devontae to the Jets, Benson the championship series, and Knicks getting catch. It's finally looking up after a few long decades. Well, Cody, I completely understand your enthusiasm, my friend, but let's not put the cart before the horse, my friend. All of your teams have a very good track record of shitting the bed, so let's not jinx them. Let's not jinx them. Things are looking up. I will give you that. I am very optimistic as to what's going on, but I need to see the proof. The proof is in the pudding, and before I can kind of jump on any of these trains here, Cody. But thank you for the comment. But yeah, that's kind of the whole Texas Georgia take. And for those that are on TikTok, thank you for watching the video. It's got almost 15,000 views, and that's the kind of stuff that we want to make. We're not out here making crazy picks. We're not making none of the stuff that we're saying is completely egregious. It's just we want to make stuff for people to watch and enjoy. And that's one of the best parts about sports is, there's a part of it that watching the actual event itself, yes, very awesome. But there's a whole bigger part where it comes to talking shit, bantering back and forth with either your friends, someone on the internet, keeping it classy, of course. But that rivalry, that whole just shit talking portion is probably the best part about sports. So I was talking with Mrs. Turbo about this. She says, that's the main reason I don't do anything like this is I couldn't stand people saying that I'm wrong. Well, that's kind of, there's not a single person in sports media that's right all the time. Now, some will tell you they are, but it just doesn't happen. It's kind of like the weatherman or lady. Occasionally we'll get a take that'll take off, but you know what? That's not really, it's not really the norm. Let's put it that way. So yes, we took that one on the shins. I will man up, hand up accountability. We took that one on the shins. But I mean, again, one of the main reasons why sports is awesome is we get a 1v3 in week 7. Or week 6, excuse me, or whatever the hell week it is. Completely awesome. Last week we had 2v4. This is what's awesome. This is what's awesome about college football. Now, kind of give you an update on our college game day picks. We got this week wrong. I would have never expected college game day to go to Bloomington, Indiana. Big shout out to Coach Signetti and the boys down there. We're going to get into your game here real quick. But just to kind of give you a for instance, I thought they were going to be at Texas A&M, and 2Ks thought they were going to be at K-State, Kansas versus K-State, and obviously way wrong. Yet again, something we're wrong on. So, yeah, it just comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. And if you look back at all of our college picks and NFL picks, we get shit wrong all the time. And if you've been following us for any amount of time, there is a Turbo and 2K's curse that goes around when we hop on your train, usually that train derails really, really quick. And it's not because we're trying to. It's just that, I guess we have a different opinion than the actual what happens on the field. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Let's jump. So that's just wanted to kind of lead the show off with that. Take one on the shins, but you know what? We'll be back at it again this week and probably give you another ridiculous pick tonight. So hang in there for that. Let's speaking of college football, let's take an updated look at the AP poll. Since we just talked about the number 1 team last week losing, Oregon jumps up to number 1. Georgia jumps up to number 2. Penn State and Ohio State, who were idle this week, stay at 3 and 4. Texas drops down to 5. Miami comes in at 6. Tennessee jumps up 4 spots to 7. LSU stays put at 8. Clemson stays put or moves up 1 to 9. Iowa State drops a spot, rounding out the top 10. And the aforementioned Indiana Hoosiers are 13th, right behind Indiana or fellow Indiana football team Notre Dame. Alabama drops to 15 after the loss. So, and 2K's Wolverines have officially dropped out of the top 25. So kind of a rainy day on Michigan's parade. But yeah, let's take a quick whip around and kind of see what happened. Again, Oregon playing on Friday night in Purdue. I believe a couple weeks ago they played a Friday night as well, but they come out with a big dub, 35-0. BYU stays undefeated. Nail biter against Oklahoma State, 38-35. Again, we talked about Georgia, Texas. That, like I said, that we took that one on. We took that one on the shins for sure. And Miami goes to Louisville, where defense was optional. Miami gets a big win, 52-45. Again, like we talked about, Tennessee beating Alabama in Tennessee, 24-17. LSU gets a big dub over Arkansas. Iowa State stays undefeated against UCF. This one was a tight one, ladies and gentlemen, 38-35. Virginia gives Clemson all they can handle. Clemson comes away with the win, 48-31. Seems as if Dabo's found something down there in Clemson, ladies and gentlemen. Don't look now, but this team could get rolling. So keep your eye. Dabo's not done. Dabo's not done at all. Notre Dame goes to not to Georgia Tech. They played in the Georgia Dome there. Comes away with 31-13 win. Won't even really get into that game. I wasn't too impressed with either side. Texas A&M squeaks a win over Mississippi State, 34-24. And as mentioned, Indiana stays undefeated at 50. They beat Nebraska, which I thought this was going to be a better game. Nebraska, Indiana beats Nebraska 56-7. It was 28-7 at half, and Indiana never looked back. So that's kind of the Michigan loses 21-7 at Illinois. This Illinois team isn't too bad. At all. And Army stays undefeated. Navy stays undefeated. So that's kind of the top 25 whip around. Let's take a peek at this week. This week, Nebraska goes to number 4 Ohio State. Really don't think that one's going to be an issue. Notre Dame plays an undefeated Navy team, which I have a feeling we're not going to see too many passing yards from either team on this game, considering the Notre Dame passing attack has not really been prolific at all. Riley Leonard is a very talented runner, a very talented leader, but the passing game just really hasn't showed up at all. Again, we talked about game day, Washington at Indiana. Kind of a weird time to go to Indiana, considering Washington is not really having the Washington season that we've kind of gotten to know them. But yeah, DeBoer isn't there, so kind of I'm not gonna say rebuilding the squad over there, but new faces and new places. Let's put it that way. Illinois at Oregon. We'll see what this Illinois team is really made out of. Again, something that 2Ks and I have talked at length about is these Big Ten teams going to the West Coast and the West Coast teams coming to the Midwest. And we've seen, I'm not going to say a drastic trend where the team that travels doesn't really play as well as they would if they were playing at home. And now, when I say travels, I mean Illinois to Oregon is a very far flight. It's not I have a feeling as the season progresses and as this Big Ten kind of progresses, we're going to see coaches kind of get their schedules down. They're kind of do what, when, and how. So I have a feeling those travel things will be rectified here. But early on, the team that travels that long distance hasn't fared very well. And let's see, Missouri at Alabama. Alabama's favored by 14. Oregon's favored by 21.5 against Illinois. Miami welcomes Florida State. That really shouldn't be a problem. Penn State at Wisconsin. This one might be one you guys and gals want to circle. I have a feeling, Big Ten football, kind of never know what's going to happen on a week in, week out basis. So that one could be that one could be exciting. That one can be exciting. Excuse me. But from the looks of this, we got a lot of big teams on buys. So I can kind of see why Game Day chose Indiana. Because Coach Cignetti's got these boys rolling. Who would have ever thought that an Indiana Hoosiers team would be 7-0? 7-0. Now, granted, as many people have told me, well, they haven't played anybody. They can only play who they're scheduled to play. I mean, I really can't tell you anything different. That's just how shit works. That's how shit works. But in the meantime, this is a very fun team to watch. A rejuvenated Bloomington, Indiana is always an awesome thing. And as 2Ks and I talked about, this is probably the best Indiana team we've seen since Michael Penix was there. I mean, that was a long time ago. So kudos to Coach Cignetti and the boys down there. But I'm really excited about this week's slot. Or slate, I should say. Now, let's see here. I'm kind of flying through shit here, 2K crew. Let's jump over to the week 7 in the NFL recap. NFL recap. See, do we have a score? Oh, it's 2-1 Dodgers. I hate this graphic, so I can never see top of the second. There we go. Mets Dodgers 2-1, top of the second. There we go. There we go. Let's talk about some NFL scores here, 2K crew. Steelers are up early 3-0 on the Jets. We had another jolly old England game. Jaguars, the Jaguars played last week, played again this week, and beat a very, very bad Patriots team. And if you are a Patriots fan, the one thing I can kind of glimmer of hope I can give you is Drake May threw for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Was only sacked twice. Now, I get it. This was against a very bad Jacksonville team. And he also led the team in rushing, which really shouldn't be the case when you have Ramondre Stevenson. But 3 carries for 18 yards. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from this kid, even with a very kind of depleted roster. He threw for more yards than Trevor Lawrence, threw for more touchdowns than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was not sacked, but had a better... No, he didn't. Hold on. I'm not going to say that. So all in all, if you're looking for a positive, I think Drake May is going to be just fine. I think Drake May is going to be just fine. The rest of the team is terrible, but I think there's something cooking over there in New England. I really do. I'm not saying that Drake May is going to be the next Tom Brady. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying if you look at some of the progressions of the other rookie quarterbacks that have started this season, it seems to me like he's adjusted quicker. Granted, he had time to sit behind. He didn't have to start week 1, which I think is huge. And I think you're seeing the dividends of that, not in the win column, but definitely in the stats column with him. So Patriots, let's get this dude some weapons, but first let's get this dude an offensive line so he doesn't die. Next on the list, Seahawks at Falcons. Seahawks get a big dub here. Let's take a look at the box score. Geno Smith, which I believe is leading the league in passing yards, I believe. Threw for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker does what he does, 69 yards and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins, the aforementioned Michael Penix got a little playing time today. But Kirk goes 24-35, 232 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Just didn't seem like the Falcons had it. I mean, we've seen this Seattle team. They can score with anybody. But it's, can they stop anybody? And Kirk's been on a little bit of a heater here lately. So for them to kind of bottle him up, kudos. I mean, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons, got Bijan Robinson going 21 carries, 103 yards and a touchdown. Got Kyle Pitts going 7 catches, 65 yards. Got Drake London going 6 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. So it wasn't a matter of getting your guys in, getting your playmakers touches, because they did. They absolutely did. It was just this was a very weird game. I really can't put my finger on who or what each one of these teams are. And probably should, because this is week 7. Both teams are 4-3. So it is what it is. But oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Let's keep rolling here. Bills Titans. I think Josh Allen had the most passing yards so far this week, 323 and 2 touchdowns. But this really shouldn't be a shocker. Bills roll over the Titans 34-10. Bengals go into Cleveland, get a big dub, 21-14. We already talked about Deshaun Watson's injury, but this was kind of the Nick Chubb, I'm not going to say coming out party, but coming back party. But even Burrow only threw for 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. Saw a whole plethora of quarterbacks for Cleveland. But let's see here. Jamar Chase only had 1 catch for 11 yards. No, that's rushing, sorry. Let's see. T. Higgins led the way with a touchdown, 82 yards. Jamar Chase, 55 yards and a touchdown. But Nick Chubb, in his return, did get the most carries. He had 11 carries for 22 yards and a touchdown. So regardless of what happened, Nick Chubb is someone that your heart just goes out to, especially considering the gruesomeness of that injury. For him to even be able to come back, but let alone come back and do it, contribute the way that he did, is absolutely amazing. He also caught a ball out of the backfield for 10 yards. So, again, I think I'm going to have to side with Jameis on this one. He, in his post-game presser, was like, all of the booing and stuff when Deshaun Watson was on the field getting carted off the field. Regardless of what the man has done or allegedly done, you don't want to see that. You can boo him all you want to when he's playing and running around, but when a man's down like that just doesn't sit well with me. Maybe I'm soft, but I kind of have to, and probably the only time those words have ever come out of my mouth, I have to side with Jameis. It's on this. It's on this. But a much needed win by the Bengals, because if they go into Cleveland and lose, I think you can pretty much throw the whole season away at this point. One of the games I was watching, Texans at Packers. I think probably one of the best, or one of the better 1 o'clock kicks today. Green Bay gets a walk-off field goal, winning 22-24, and we saw Joe Mixon just kind of do Joe Mixon stuff. I mean, 2Ks and I talked about it last week, how him being out really hindered this offense. Well, him being back is amazing. And the Texans were very much in this game the entire game, with CJ Stroud only throwing for 86 yards passing. 86 yards. Mixon has 115 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. They had 0 passing touchdowns. 0. Now, not to take anything away from this Green Bay Packers team, because this team is good. This team is good. Love goes for 220, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. This was a very, very turnover-happy game. Josh Jacobs gets his very first receiving touchdown in the NFL. Thought that was rather weird, but kudos to him. This defense was just flying around sideline to sideline and just causing havoc I mean, they sacked Stroud 4 times. So it's not going to be too often when you see a CJ Stroud have a QBR rating of 22.3. Not going to happen that often. But if you're a Texans fan and that happens and you still almost win this game, you're 5-2. You're 5-2. Is it the end of the world? Nope. Green Bay needed this game to keep pace with everyone else in that division. This game they had to win this game. They had to win this game. And the most hideous all white uniforms. I know it's like the Winter Rush or whatever they were calling it, but wouldn't you want to showcase those? And shout out to Pardon My Take for bringing this up, and I totally agree with it. Wouldn't you want to save these unis for a primetime game? Or maybe later in the year when it's actually snowing? I don't know. I really wasn't a fan of the unis, but it is what it is. It is what it is. They're undefeated in them. Let's put it that way. They're undefeated in them. But the Packers sitting at 5-2. Chicago having their bye week this week, and we're gonna get to the Lions-Vikings game here in a moment. So this is a game that they absolutely had to have, and against one of the more powerhouse teams in the NFL. So good win for the Packers. All right. Dolphins go into Indianapolis. Indianapolis wins 16-10. This was kind of a clunker. I mean, again, this was a Miami offense. It was Tyler Huntley, start of the game, gets hurt. Tim Boyle comes in, actually spins it not too bad. But Anthony Richardson gets the nod here. Throws for 129 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Has 14 carries for 56 yards. And again, this was a game without Taylor. So I don't know, that's still a lot of carries for a very injury-prone quarterback. A lot of carries. But regardless, come away with a big dub. If they lose to a Dolphins team that not only is without Tua, but Tyler Huntley gets hurt, and let's see here, Tyreek Hill has 1 catch. Jalen Waddle has 1 catch. If the Colts lose this game, they're in big trouble. Big trouble. So a win they had to have, and wasn't pretty, but they got it. Wasn't pretty, but they got it. All right. Aaron Rodgers. I shouldn't say Aaron Rodgers. Jets go up 7-3 on the Steelers. Let's keep cruising here. Another huge game. Lions at Vikings. Lions come away with a walk-off kick win 31-29. And this is the first game after the Aiden Hutchinson injury. So everyone was wondering, how are they going to fare? How is this team going? Are they going to rally around this injury and help solidify them, or is this defense just going to go down the shitter? And this defense had 4 sacks. 4 sacks. So I think they're yes, you absolutely miss a player like that, the heart and soul of that defense, if not the heart and soul of the team. So of course his absence is going to be felt. But Jared Goff just keeps doing it. Just keeps doing it. Goes 22 of 25, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jahmyr Gibbs has a huge day, 15 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also caught 4 balls for 44 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes for over 100 and a touchdown. So all the people that should be doing things did do things. And when that happens, good stuff happens. And like I said, this was a walk-off kick. Sam Darnold throws for 259, a touchdown and a pick. Aaron Jones has a huge day, 14 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Oddly enough, Sam Darnold was the team's second leading rusher with 39 yards. Justin Jefferson goes for 81 and a touchdown. So pretty much everyone that if you paid to get into this game, everyone that you paid to see played well, played very well. But one thing I really want to, because now this is, I believe, 3 straight games that Goff has strung together. He had the perfect, I believe, like 18 or 19 for 19. He had like a 20 for 23. Now he goes 20 of 25. All of those, each one of those games throwing for over 250 yards. I believe 0 interceptions, maybe 1. But the level that he's playing at has been absolutely amazing. Which leads me to ask the question: where does Jared Goff fit in with the MVP conversation? I know last week we it wasn't a joke. I was actually trying to get a natural reaction out of 2Ks, and I was like, where does Baker Mayfield fit in to this MVP discussion? And as a bad host, I probably should have had the odds for MVP up. So let's go over those odds for said MVP. Patrick Mahomes is leading. He's the leader in the clubhouse as of today, 9:30 a.m. Okay, this is through DraftKings. He's at plus 350. Josh Allen plus 500. Lamar Jackson plus 500. Jared Goff plus 800. CJ Stroud plus 800. Jordan Love plus 1300. And let's see here. I don't really see Baker's name on here. But kind of what I'm getting at here is Patrick Mahomes has not played like the Patrick Mahomes that we've all become accustomed to seeing. Josh Allen has been playing fantastic. Lamar Jackson playing fantastic. Jared Goff, in my opinion, and Cody, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. Josh Allen should be first, Goff second. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that, followed by Lamar. Then you could put Mahomes in there, but it's still not I'm still not extremely confident in saying that. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you want to get odds, if you want to lay your money and get those futures in, sprinkle a little on Jared Goff. I really don't think it's a bad play here. I really don't. And to have this type of game against an undefeated Vikings team and you beat them at home, that's awesome. That is completely awesome. And getting back to the Packers conversation now, Detroit's leading this division, followed by Minnesota, all four of these teams are extremely competitive. All four of these teams are a game or two back from the last place team to the Lions, maybe one game, maybe two. But this is the most closely contested division in all of football. So for the Packers to do what they did and hold serve and beat the Texans, who a lot of folks, myself included, picked them to win the Super Bowl. That's a huge game, because if they would have lost that game, now they're at, I believe, 3 losses, can't happen. They would be sitting in the bottom of this division with seemingly Detroit and Minnesota distancing themselves from Chicago and them. So that was a game they had to have. Cody also says, I'd say Jaden Daniels over Mahomes right now. I have a feeling that it's the whole Mahomes kind of is always there, so we kind of have to always put him up there, and which is good because if you're a betting person like I am, I would much rather get Jared Goff at plus 800 right now as compared to like 3 or 4 weeks when he's plus 350 and Mahomes is plus 800. So Mahomes, do your thing and keep those odds the way they are. Let's put them that way. Let's put it that way. So when it does hit, I get more money, which I'm a fan of more money. I'm a fan of more money. Really, I really don't want to talk Eagles Giants because this Giants team is terrible. But let's jump into it because obviously this is the Saquon Barkley coming home game. And if you follow Jason Kelce on Twitter, he was like, I don't understand why people are booing Saquon. I'm not sure why they're burning his jerseys, which I can understand his point of view. As a fan, you never want to see your number one dude go. You really don't. Especially considering they decided to pay Daniel Jones and franchise Saquon Barkley, which ultimately led him to go away. And it's not like he requested a trade. It's not like he pulled, a Devontae and was like, get me the hell out of here. This was simply him saying, you don't want me. Okay, I'll go find someone. I'll go find some place that does. And man, 17 carries, 176 yards and a touchdown says to me that he's happy. He is happy. And on top of that, he's on a 4-2 team instead of a 2-5 team. And doesn't have to deal with Daniel Jones's dumbass. None of those, the front office, if you watched any of that show, just a terrible look all the way around for the Giants. Kenny Pickett actually get some time in here. But yeah, the big story, Saquon Barkley, 17 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown in MetLife. Absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. AJ Brown had a big game, and I do believe he went out with an injury, but it kind of seemed like it was. If the game would have been closer, he might have been he might have come back from that, but it really didn't seem like he was needed. So you know what, big fella, go have a seat. Go have a seat. Raiders come into the Rams. Rams get a big 20-15. Not a score you see every day. 20-15. I don't even want to open the box score on that one. Looks like Brock Bowers had a hell of a day. 10 catches, 93 yards. But let's see here. Commanders handle everything with the Patriots. Or, excuse me, the Panthers. And I believe... Yeah, Jaden Daniels goes down. Game has to be finished by Marcus Mariota. It looks like it was early on. Considering Daniels had only 2. He was 2 for 2 for 6 yards. But had 3 carries for 50 yards. So, again... Scary Terry doing what Scary Terry does. 6 catches, 98 yards. I think the magic juju that Andy Dalton once brought to this team might have run out. might have run out. And the special juju only lasted for, let's be honest, one game, because they're 1-6. So just a bad all-around football team. Just a bad team. And we had the Chiefs-Niners in the 4:30 slot. And this was a very weird game as well. Very weird game. Primarily because it seemed like every one of the 49ers is hurt. I mean, start out Christian McCaffrey's been hurt, but they do get Jordan Mason back, which is huge. But we saw Debo go down early. I believe Ayuk went out, and it's kind of if I'm reading it correctly, might be a possible ACL. So this team is, walking wounded at this point. But again, we talked about Mahomes not having a Mahomes type year, even though he's the favorite to win the MVP. He goes 16 of 27, 154 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns. He does have 5 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt has been kind of the resurgent Kareem Hunt. 22 carries, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This was basically a game, who can run the ball more? That's pretty much what it was, even though Kittle goes for almost 100. But this was a very weird game. Very weird game. 28-18. This game it seemed closer than the score was. So don't let that fool you. Don't let that fool you. But don't look now, but the 49ers are 3-4. 49ers are 3-4, and the Kansas City Chiefs remain the only undefeated team in the NFL. We got Chargers Cardinals going on tomorrow night. Give me the Chargers on that one. Chargers are a 1.5 point favorite. 1.5 point favorite. Give me that. Give me that all day. Let's take a peek here. It is still 2-1, top of the third. Dodgers leading the Mets. Let's see here. Let's do a quick box score on this guy. All right. Who's pitching? Okay, looks like the Dodgers won a bullpen game. Started out with Kopech. And we've got Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea tossing the pill for the Mets. Yep, this is a win. Dodgers win, it's done. And we fulfill the prophecy of Dodgers v. Yankees in the World Series. Now, my question for those Dodgers and Yankee fans is, I think with these rosters, I think all of us are kind of expecting a lot of offensive fireworks. Pitching staffs haven't been great either side. But you really can't, there's going to be Yankee fans that say, well, if you look at our, ERA, this and that, well, you haven't played great teams. The Dodgers have played harder teams. So you really can't compare the two. But with the offenses that both of these teams are going to run out. And yes, Freeman is not playing. Who's playing? Max Muncy slides over to first. But, you've got 3 MVPs on the Dodgers, 1 on the Yankees. I know Soto hasn't won one yet, but he MVP caliber. Let's not, you have to call a spade here. And out of nowhere, Giancarlo Stanton shows up for the playoffs and is swinging probably the hottest bat in that entire lineup. Now, will that continue? I don't know. It's like I said, the pitching staffs leading up to this, whichever, the Mets-Dodgers series, the pitching staff that this Yankees team has faced really, nothing to write home about. Nothing to write home about at all. But we shall see. We shall see. But if it does end up on either one of these teams, Mets, Dodgers versus Yankees, I'm I'm expecting a lot of offense. A lot of offense. I know we've talked about the, Otani, Betts, Freeman, Kike Hernandez, the postseason star. And if you look on the other side, it's been Soto's been up and down. Stanton's been hot. Judge really hasn't. And to that point, Otani really hasn't been that hot. So when are these guys going to click? And if it doesn't click in the World Series, that's going to be very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. So that's kind of my prediction here. I'm pretty sure last week, I'm pretty sure 2Ks and I both said that it was going to be Dodgers, Yankees. No, we did not. I picked the Guardians, even though I didn't want to. Be honest with you. But I have a feeling we're kind of destined to that Dodgers Yankees, which is what MLB wants. I mean, they want Otani versus Judge. Now, it would be even more amazing, if Otani were able to pitch. Now, there's been a lot of clamoring going on this whole postseason. Oh, is Otani going to be able to pitch? Is Otani going to be? No. Come on, let's be real. He's just starting to throw off a mound just like a few weeks ago. He hasn't. No. I would be absolutely floored if Dave Roberts puts him on the bump. Absolutely floored. Would it be awesome? Yeah, it would be absolutely awesome. Would it be? But that's the draw with Otani. I mean, granted, we haven't seen him pitch in over a year. Does he still have it? I'm sure he does. But that's what makes him so special. Aside from, the 50-50, close to 60-60, and compare that to the season that Judge had over in the American League. It's like, okay, we're getting those two guys head to head now, hopefully. And wouldn't it be the cherry on top to actually see these dudes going, Otani on the mound against Judge? Like, I'm getting worked up just because I want to see that. And I think that's the reason he was brought over there. Yes, not for this year, but that's what we want to see. That's what everyone wants to see. And I, for one, cannot wait. I cannot wait. And even, as a Red Sox fan, it kills me to say this, to see this Dodgers, Yankees again next year with Otani on the mound. Sign me up for that. But yeah, that's, again, Mets, play along, Mets. I know, Cody, you've got enough good going. Mets, I'm telling you, give us Dodgers Yankee World Series. Just this once. So I think that'd be absolutely fantastic. Well, 2K crew, it's been about that time. Hope everyone's had a good week. Let's get this next week off to a great start. Sports are sports. Football's heating up. Baseball's trending. It's heating up, but trending towards the end of the season. So nothing wrong with that. I believe the regular season for the NBA tips off very, very soon. If it hasn't, hockey started. It's the best time of the year right now to be a sports fan. So everyone have a great week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.